It started as a small mystery that slowly turned into a full-blown nightmare. Every few days, David found another package missing from his porch. Deliveries he'd been waiting for simply vanished. At first, he thought it was a mistake, maybe the delivery service messing up. But after installing a camera, what he discovered left him stunned. The footage showed a woman, his neighbor, Mrs. Parker, confidently walking up to his door and taking his packages in broad daylight. The same Mrs. Parker who proudly called herself the HOA President. The same woman who once told him, "We like to keep this neighborhood clean, people like you should follow the rules." David clenched his fists as he rewatched the video. She wasn't stealing out of need, she did it because she believed she could get away with it. Her husband was on the HOA board, and her friends lived on every corner of the block. Reporting her would just make him the troublemaker. But this time, David had had enough. He wanted justice, quietly, cleverly, and without breaking a single rule. So, he decided to fight back in a way no one would forget. He whispered to himself, "If she wants my packages so bad, she can have them permanently marked." And with that thought, his plan began to take shape. David spent the next 2 nights designing a harmless but brilliant trap. He ordered a few decoy boxes online, simple brown packages that looked like any other delivery. Inside, he placed old newspapers, a few light weights for realism, and his secret ingredient, a pouch filled with permanent dye powder. The kind used by banks in money bags. The moment it's disturbed, it explodes into bright, impossible to remove color. He tested it carefully in his garage. A small puff of blue dye stained his gloves, vivid, permanent, undeniable. "Perfect," he whispered, smiling for the first time in weeks. On Friday afternoon, he placed one of the fake boxes neatly on his porch, right where Mrs. Parker could see it during her daily neighborhood inspection. Then, he turned on his porch camera and waited. The sun set. Crickets started singing. And right on time, Mrs. Parker appeared, her posture upright, her cardigan immaculate, her phone in hand as she checked the area. She stopped, looked at the box, scanned the surroundings, and picked it up. David's heart raced. The moment she tilted it, a faint puff of blue escaped through the tape seam. She flinched but didn't notice much yet. David leaned back and grinned. The stage was set. Tomorrow, the entire HOA would witness her colorful truth. The next morning, David woke to a sound he'd been waiting for, furious knocking on his door. He opened it to find Mrs. Parker standing there, her hands, blouse, and even parts of her hair dyed a striking shade of bright blue. She looked like a real-life cartoon character. Her voice trembled with fake authority. "Did you put something illegal in that package?" she demanded. David kept his calm. "Illegal? No, ma'am. That's just a security dye pack, harmless but permanent. Maybe next time you shouldn't touch what isn't yours." Her eyes widened, and for the first time, she was speechless. Minutes later, her husband and 2 HOA members marched over, trying to mediate. They accused David of being aggressive and disruptive to the community's peace. David silently pointed at his camera mounted above the porch. "You might want to watch this before you continue." He played the clip, Mrs. Parker walking up, stealing the box, and the puff of dye hitting her clothes. The silence that followed was golden. Even her husband didn't speak. The HOA members shifted uncomfortably. The proof was undeniable. Mrs. Parker's perfect reputation shattered in seconds. But David wasn't done. He had a bigger plan for justice, one that would echo through the neighborhood for months. By afternoon, the entire neighborhood was buzzing. Kids giggled as Mrs. Parker tried scrubbing her blue-stained hands. Neighbors whispered behind curtains. Some avoided eye contact, others filmed her from their lawns. She tried to act calm, holding her head high, pretending nothing happened. But the blue wouldn't wash off, not from her hands, her blouse, or even her reputation. David sat on his porch, sipping iced tea, watching the show unfold. For weeks, she had made everyone's life miserable, writing HOA fines, sending rude emails, and insulting people for minor things. Now, the same woman couldn't even walk her dog without someone asking, "Nice new color, Mrs. Parker?" But beneath the satisfaction, David felt something else: relief. He hadn't yelled, hadn't broken a rule. He'd simply exposed truth. Later that evening, he received a note on his door from another neighbor. "Thank you. We all wanted to do something, but you finally did." David smiled softly. Justice wasn't loud, it was smart. Still, he knew Mrs. Parker wouldn't give up that easily. A storm was brewing, and she wasn't done with him yet. A week later, the HOA meeting was packed. More people showed up than ever before. Mrs. Parker, still faintly blue around her neck, tried to regain control. "This community must not tolerate disrespectful behavior," she declared, glaring at David. But her words fell flat. The residents murmured among themselves. David stood slowly. "Disrespectful behavior? You mean like stealing from your own neighbors?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. He then connected his phone to the projector and played the footage for everyone to see. Mrs. Parker's act, caught in 4K. The silence was deafening. The HOA vice president finally spoke. "Mrs. Parker, this violates multiple conduct rules. You can't continue as president." Her face went pale. She tried to speak but stuttered. People who once nodded at her now turned away. Her empire of control collapsed in minutes. David didn't smile. He just picked up his notes and left quietly. The justice he wanted was complete. Or so he thought. Because later that night, someone slipped a letter under his door written in shaky blue ink. "You'll regret embarrassing me, David." David's porch light flickered as he picked up the letter. He could tell Mrs. Parker was desperate. But this time, he wasn't afraid. He forwarded the message to the HOA board, attaching all evidence and footage. The next day, she was officially removed from her position. Her husband quietly resigned, too. For the first time in years, the neighborhood felt peaceful. Children played, people greeted each other again, and new leadership took over, fair, calm, and kind. Mrs. Parker, meanwhile, moved away a month later, unable to handle the humiliation. Her blue-stained reputation followed her wherever she went. David didn't celebrate. He simply stood by his porch one last time, watching the mail truck deliver a new package. This time, no one dared to touch it. For the first time, his home felt safe again. Justice, as it turned out, didn't need shouting, just a little creativity and patience. Weeks later, a knock echoed again on David's door. It was a delivery man, the same one who'd often seen Mrs. Parker snooping. "Sir," he said, "you wouldn't believe this. That blue dye trick? I've been telling everyone about it. Packages haven't gone missing anywhere in the area since." David laughed softly. "Good. Maybe people finally learned something." He looked across the street, where a for sale sign now stood in Mrs. Parker's yard. Peace at last. He turned back toward his porch camera, gently wiping dust off its lens. It had started as a tool for protection, but it ended up teaching the entire neighborhood a lesson. Truth doesn't need force, it just needs light. As the sun set behind the houses, David smiled and whispered, "Sometimes the best justice is the kind that stains permanently." And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.